How's everybody doing? How you doing, Kirk?
I'm doing good, Mike. How are you doing?
Doing good. Ready to? I'm ready for tonight. I've been excited to talk to Brian.
I am
Uh,
too.
I think it's going to be a good show.
I agree. I
Brandy
think there's
Coffee.
some good.
We need her to email us, right? We need to talk to
Yes.
Brandy Coffee. So if you get a chance, Brandy, give us an email. We would like to ask you something. Uh, hey, everybody. Tonight we're going to have on our show Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations. He's a Oklahoma-based cryptid investigator, also pretty much like what I do. We're going to talk tonight about some cryptids here in Oklahoma, focusing on Oklahoma, and some possible like encounters, evidence, and theories. I guess hypotheses that we may have, along with some opinions. Again, I don't feel that anybody's an expert in this field, and I think that
There is none.
well, some are self-proclaimed,
Well, that's their problem.
but I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight, even our haters. We appreciate your all view time and dislikes too. So we're just going to welcome everybody tonight. And we got Brian with us, guys. I'm going to go ahead and bring Brian in.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Brian. Nice to meet
Hey,
you.
Brian, how you doing?
Nice to meet you too, sir.
So, how's your day going?
Well, my day has been awesome. Today was the last day. I was teaching a little summer school deal for the junior high kids, and I am. All I got to say is one word: freedom. So, yeah. So, yeah.
It's not just the kids that enjoy summer, huh?
I'm telling you. Oh gosh, these guys. So, but yes, today's been a very, very good day, and it's been a nice day too.
It is. It's very
Wonderful.
nice outside. Hey, Brian, I'm going to let you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your channel and stuff and how to find you before we get started. That way you can let people get familiar with who you are and what you're doing.
My name's Brian Terrell. I'm with Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations. We're based out of Enid, Oklahoma. We started out just wanting to do field investigations and document reports from Northwest Oklahoma, but that very quickly turned into the entire state of Oklahoma and southern Kansas, and just because that was where I saw a need, and you just kind of go where the need is because you always want to know what's going on in your home state. And we go out into the field. Our primary function is field investigations. That's what we really do. That's where our heart is. I've got a team of several good guys: Micah Doan, Jeff Hatfield, Eric Schrader, and Coleman Atchley. And I got a guy up in Arkansas, Scotty. He's every once in a while he comes out with us, and yeah, I'm trying to get him where he can handle all my Kansas stuff because that costs too much money to go up there. But in the long story, we just, we're just kind of a normal group of guys that occasionally goes out. We try to go out at least once a month and do some kind of field research. Now, I'm not going to lie, it does kind of slow down in the summertime. The heat, the ticks, the mosquitoes, the snakes, I'm more scared of them than I am the boogers. So we usually do slow down a little bit, and we usually do all of our research real close to swimming holes if we go outside at all. And but we also do cryptid research, and we manage Facebook page that we have for the community to share stuff and hopefully learn a few things. We try to keep the page as serious as we can as far as some of the Facebook pages go. And we try to post stuff on there that has something, some kind of little bit of information in there that you might learn something from. Now, not everything on the Red Dirt Cryptids Facebook page is is that way, but a lot of it is. And if you go to our Facebook page, yeah, there's a featured section, and there is a map, an interactive map that you can go to and you can use to find cryptid activity from current to past in your area. That is not a complete map. As a matter of fact, that map will never be completely complete because, apparently Google didn't think that I needed any more than 248 waypoints on that one. But you can hey, what do you expect for a free website, man?
Exactly.
So,
Right.
at the end of the day, you can go there and you can see some stuff that you might want to, and when you click on it, it pulls it up and it gives it a brief description of what happened there. And there's a case file number, and in that featured section on Facebook, on my Facebook page, there's also a link to what's called Airtable, and that's where all of my case files are, except for 3. I got 3 case files that are completely anonymous, but other than that, there's like 260 plus case files in there, and you guys are more than welcome to go through and look at them, and hit control print them out. I don't care what they're out there for the public. They don't belong to me. They belong to the people of the state of Oklahoma and the people of Kansas. So they're out there for the public to see and read. And I mean, I'm not judging anybody. My job is just to document them and put them out there. But anyway, that's what we do. We do a little bit of consulting. We go out and if somebody's having problems or they're scared, a lot of times we'll go out, we'll talk to them, look around the place, and we'll give them some hints. And a lot of times just having somebody to talk to is enough, but sometimes people are really scared and they want to keep them away. And that's not always an easy endeavor, but hey, we give some advice where we can. And of course, the last thing we do is public education. Sometimes I team up with the No Bro guys from the Native Oklahoma Bigfoot Research Organization. Well, that's a mouthful, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and we go out to some of the public libraries, and we'll do talks where we it's kind of free to the public and everything. And occasionally I even do other lectures or whatnot. I guess you'd call it a lecture. I'm a teacher. I guess that's what I'm supposed to call it. But we'll go out to different places, and we'll talk about cryptids and the cryptids in our area. So I try to do what I can to educate the general public as for what little I do know. I'm no expert, kind of like you said. You got to be leery of anybody that says they are an expert. So
Exactly.
yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's me. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So,
Google, that free website we was talking about, they kind of played a role in this Las Vegas alien landing here lately. They went back and used Google Earth, and they found out the circle where the aliens landed. It was there 1 year prior, so that kind of I noticed a lot of things in the interview that just didn't add up. There was a lot of just a lot of, I don't know. He was contradicting himself a lot.
A lot of red
It was
flags.
his brother. It was his friend. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, it's usually the way this stuff
But
is anymore.
it was interesting.
If it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
So,
Exactly.
oh yeah, yeah. Bet the farm on it.
Yes, sir.
So you done a case on a red wolf or a dog man, right?
Yeah. Me and the guys, we got an email from a lady who wanted to remain anonymous. She was from southeastern Oklahoma, and she had dogman activity and Sasquatch activity both out on her property. We went out there and we walked around the place, and we didn't find any actual evidence at the time. We did recover some hair, but it turned out to be from a cow. But she that lady has a really awesome story, and she's got a really awesome piece of land with about the most primo habitat you could possibly have for a Sasquatch. But she's had a couple of encounters out there, and she's seen some things, and it was pretty impressive. Um, some of the stories that she had to share with us, and just when we thought we were done, she invited a fellow that was another local down there, and he was retired law enforcement, and he was telling stories about some of the stuff that was going on down there. I was a little surprised that some of the stuff that was going on in that area was just very, yeah, everybody knows about that. Everybody knows. And I mean, they are convinced that there is a pack of wolves running around down in that area, and which technically wolves are not in Oklahoma, according to all the sources,
Right.
all the dependable sources, and but then again, they did import cougars. What was that, 25 years ago, and they didn't inform the public. And but that's another story for another day. But I wouldn't be surprised if wolves are running loose with chips in the back of their neck or something. But
My
I can't
granny
help
said she saw him. So
really. And when was that?
yeah, she used to say that there was been in the mid 1980s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she said she had wolves at her pond, but also she had other things going on at her house too that were not normal.
Well, and that's what's kind of got me confused. I mean, I got a guy named Red. I thought that was kind of funny, and he reached out to me, and he was from the Stillwater area, and him and some of the local farmers down there, they had claimed to have seen some black wolves running around. And that was the first time I heard about it, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of times when I hear something like that for the first time, I just kind of take it and put it up on a shelf and just kind of remember it, but you don't dwell on it or anything. But then this lady's talking about wolves, and and I heard that there's some on the northeast of Tulsa, and I'm just like, what? And I can't help but wonder, are these packs of dog men, or are they real wolves? I just don't know. I guess that kind of remains to be seen. I know you've seen some upright walking canine in your area, and but apparently
about a week ago.
Yay! Yeah, I mean, but I think that, like I said, I think the activity, there's more going on here in our state and even up in Kansas than what people realize. I think that a lot of people are seeing these creatures and they're misidentifying them, especially if they see them at a distance.
Exactly.
And I'm not, now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying when somebody says they saw a wolf, I'm not calling them a liar. All I'm saying is how do you tell the difference between a dog man that's walking quadrupedally and a regular wolf? Well, you really have to know what you was looking at.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah, especially from the side.
If I accidentally step on somebody, there's a huge delay in our voices, so I'm not doing it intentionally. The day that I saw the ones that went from all four to bipedal, I couldn't tell that they weren't not coyotes. Me and the kids thought they were coyotes until they stood up on their hind legs. And then I visited with the Indians, here recently on that case I was doing, and they got mad at me whenever I said dog man. They like shut me up. They're like, no, 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 no. It's all the same. They said, dog man, werewolf, googly. He said it's all the same animal, and I said, explain to me how it is. And he said, Chihuahua, Rottweiler. And I said, what do you mean? Elaborate. He said, dogs are different shapes, different sizes. Some have tails, some don't. Some are more aggressive, some aren't. Some of them are different colors depending on where they live. They're adapted. He said, they are the same thing. But he told me, he said, the white man, he said, named these creatures dog man. He said, we have always knew what they were. They prefer the word Sasquatch or Googway. And he said, and I said, how do you know that they're all the same? And he looked at me, and I'm sitting with the whole elders, at this town that I was welcome to. And he goes, we lived with them on the prairie. Did you?
He's got a good point.
Well, I respect their words, and but at the same time, I mean, the ones that look very human, there's a big difference there anatomically, and the ones that have the reverse hawk legs,
Right.
and the dedicated canine looking legs. Then there's some of them that have human type legs with human knee ankle type structure. There's a pretty big difference there, and I mean, I'm not saying I know, but I'm just saying that sometimes there's a little bit more explaining than that needs to be, other than just take my word for it. I mean, we're naturally inquisitive. We have a lot of questions. I wouldn't argue with an elder. I mean, that's disrespectful. But
there's a lot of innocent people in prison.
Yeah. I'm just my thing is when you make a statement like that, you can't just end it and then leave us hanging. There's some more explaining that probably needs to be done, and I just you make me end up with more questions. Just when I thought I had enough questions, now I've got more. But
it was scary for me.
What tribe was that?
I was not welcomed anyway.
Oh. Was that Cherokee?
Cherokee, yeah. I said Cherokee, and they corrected me and said Katua.
Okay, they're not the only ones that believe that, by the way. There's other tribes out there that believe that too.
Really?
That's what I've been told. I do, and like I said, I find it.
Well, he told me, he told me, he said, they ate our children, stole our wives, we traded
Correct.
with them, they had their own language. He said, what the translation is, right, to white man? And I said, well, what is it? I don't speak Cherokee. I said, what is it? And he said, they're the shy people, or the shy tribe. He said, we never called them animals. They're too much like a human. We wouldn't have called them cannibals if they were humans. He said, they're very close to you and I. They're just larger. He said they have more hair. They have defects, is what they call it. They have a lot of defects, and just larger and stronger.
Well, he's definitely spot on that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. I don't know where these creatures are. I just know that they're being reported. It seems like more and more and more. Now that I've been collecting case files and starting to put them all together, and one of these days, and hopefully this summer, I'm going to have some time off. Hopefully I can get some more case files processed, documented out there for the public to read. And, maybe I can I know for a fact I've probably got 30 or 40 case files right now waiting to be processed, just so I can take them from the notebook that I write in and put them into that,
Right.
but it all takes time. You got to
Right.
go in, you got to
Sure.
type it all out and all that. It's something sometimes. It takes a lot of work. And I usually, during the winter time,
And
I usually only do that on rainy days.
and it
But
looks
no.
like lunar eclipse might have lost somebody, so I'd like to offer my condolences and prayers to her and her family.
Okay.
Sorry for your loss, Lunar.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Would you like to answer this question, Kirk?
Well, I don't see where anybody here is talking in code. At times, there are things that we cannot answer for the simple fact of legal ramifications. Uh, I'm not a lawyer. Mike is not a lawyer. There's things that you can know, but you can't prove. And if you can't prove it, you leave yourself open to litigation. So we refuse to do that.
Also, if we say certain words on this channel, it causes us to lose subscribers and we get blacklisted. I just came off of a blacklist.
Yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't get subscribers for a month. I mean, I stayed at the same number for a month. So,
Yeah.
But I was talking about some other creatures that may or may not suck your blood, and they didn't like that. So
Very much so.
my video even got my video was demonetized on that. They demonetized my video. It went against YouTube standards. So yeah.
Correct. We have been fighting a lot of different issues once we've opened up a couple topics, and to the point where we were all hacked, and it was a pretty elaborate hack. We actually finally figured out how it was done. We did make some changes to correct it, but still, it shouldn't have happened.
So Brian, you went to a place that I left you a pin drop on, one of my favorite places to investigate. I was wondering how that turned out for you down there.
Well, we went down there twice. Coleman and Eric and I. Whoa. Coleman and Eric and I went out there. We actually went out there twice. And the first time we went out there, Coleman found some footprints. I don't remember what the size of the footprints were, but they were fairly large. But they were within the realm of possibly human. If it's like under a size 15 men's shoe, I would say it's possible that it could be a human.
Right.
Most people are not dumb enough to go walking through the woods barefooted in the middle of the summer with snakes and everything, let alone the damn thorny vine alone.
Especially down there, all the glass and pipe.
Oh yeah. Well, in that area that we found that in, that's where that ghost town was. So, but anyway, there was a lot of stuff you could really hurt yourself on if you weren't watching it. But yeah, that was the first time we found those tracks, and that big storm came in and kind of ran us off. And the second time we went out there was a full moon, and we didn't really find a whole lot, but we had a good time camping out.
Right, and usually on a full moon, you never will find anything to speak of.
Yeah. But then sometimes you just gotta go when you have the opportunity. But the second time we went out to that area, and this is just I just put out a recent video if anybody wants to see it. It's I don't remember what I named it, but it's like one of my most recent videos. But we went out to this one area.
Billy,
And,
there is no.
but anyway, we went out to this
I think we're losing
one
him.
area. Me? Hello.
No, we lost Kurt
Hello.
for a second. There he is. Yeah, your friend was on, Kurt. You see that?
Yeah. Yep. No background noise whatsoever here.
Sounds like gunfire.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, we went out to, we
Might be
actually
like cow-
changed
is that what cow-
location. We went to an area that was different. And we was out there walking around this swamp marshy area. And we had something really cool happen that I don't think I've ever had happen before. We were checking, I set up the camera and we were just going to kind of walk along the edge of the marsh and kind of look for footprints and stuff. And Eric reached down and he picked up a stick that I guess he thought would be good for walking with. And he broke it because I guess it was too long or something. And about 45 seconds, a minute after that into the video, something pushed over a tree just out of sight on the other side of the marsh. And when I tell you it was loud, it was loud. You could hear the tree cracking and popping. And if you haven't watched that part of the video, just fast forward to the video. I think it starts at about 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and you can hear it. I mean, and I ain't gonna lie to you, I was shocked. I mean, I was pretty dumbfounded. And one of us says something to the effect of, "Did you hear that?" And the other one's like, "Yeah." And then I think Eric said, "You reckon it was the wind?" And it was kind of funny because there was absolutely no wind whatsoever. And this tree came down. It was impressive. And we kind of hooted. We kind of did some huffing and some challenge calls at it with our mouth, which probably wasn't too smart, but well, you know, you got
done it myself, so.
And but anyway, so we decided that we were going to depart, and we left the area, and we came back. We're planning on going back and try to go find that tree that got pushed over. We know about where that tree was. It was just out of sight. But it was, we're pretty excited about going back and looking at it. And then we went to this other area that's further down south from there. And we stumbled on a trackway of footprints, and we ended up casting a bunch of footprints, and we got some good toe definition on them. And they were about 11 and a half, 12 inches long, and a little over 5 inches wide at point. I got some really good video footage of it. And that was pretty good. I think those tracks that we stumbled on were 2-3 weeks old. It looked like they'd been rained on a time or two too. Of course, you know, this has been a crazy time of year. We get a bunch of rain and it dries up. We get a bunch of rain. So, hell, here we are. It's June and it's just now starting to act like spring. So, who can figure it out?
Yes.
But that was pretty exciting. We've pulled some pretty decent evidence from that area. So we're pretty excited about that. I mean, there's a lot of ground up there to cover. So.
Oh yeah. I'd like to see y'all go down there on a no moon night. It's dark. I fish down there a lot, and I've had my lantern go out before, not paying attention, and it can get dark real fast. Tanisha says, "Do you think it's pushing the tree over was trying to spook you guys, so you'd leave, or get you guys to move closer to it?"
Well, if it was trying to coax us in, you'd think it would do something different, like do a baby cry or something.
Right.
I think it was kept trying to tell us to leave. That was the impression I got. And I can't help but wonder if Eric wouldn't have picked up that stick and broke it, would we have heard anything at all? Or would they have just watched us? And so now I'm sitting here thinking I've got a new tactic to use when I go out. Find a nice stick and break a stick occasionally as you're walking around and see if you can entice them to do something back. It's as good a game plan as anybody else has, even the expert.
Did any? Did any? Yeah, yeah. Well, you got to also hoop and do a lot of other things in the circle. But did you hear anything else that night when you all stayed there?
Well, um, I'm still I'm still reviewing the audio file. Um, I I'm gonna tell you straight up, the audio file thing, that's my nemesis. It takes forever to go through these audio files. We when we were down at the area that was further south, um, we did not have an audio recorder going yet. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even dark yet. It was probably 8:30, and Eric and I were sitting in our chairs, and off in the distance, we heard a vocalization. And the only thing that I can say is it just sounded like pain. I mean, this thing was, and it was not anything I'm used to hearing. I wish, man, I wish I'd had my audio recorder out. This thing sounded, I don't know, just primal, and it sounded like it was an agony. And
You,
it was very loud, but it was a
you know
long
where
way
you in?
away. Huh?
You know where you invited me to your camp that night. I came down to spend a little time with you. If you'll
Yeah.
look from where you was at that night to the south, to the southeast of there, that's actually where my mom was struck by that rock that night in her ankle, and the one that hit my truck and dented my truck. That's right through there.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. Well, that area that where I met you that first time, we had been there earlier, like 2 or 3 weeks earlier, when the water was low, and we walked back around there, and we found tracks down there in the mud. I had some video footage of it on a previous video that we posted, but we found some, and we even found some where they've been walking quadrupedally, and but the problem is it looks funny when they're walking quadrupedally, and people don't know what they're looking at.
Right.
I'm pretty hesitant to post photos of quadrupedal footprints because people I get tired of playing the troll games. So
Gets old real quick,
They will
doesn't
pick
it?
it to death.
yeah. Well, and I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to stir any fights or anything, but if you ain't submitting any evidence for review, you show me your expert card and I'll show you mine. I don't. That's the part of this that I don't like. I go out. I try to show what we find, and and we try to have a good time and do this stuff. But every time I find footprints or something like that, I'm real hesitant to post them. I find a lot more footprints than I actually document in my videos, but they're just subpar. They're just not worth showing. And I don't want to start a monkey crap fight, with people calling me a liar, and it's
I had a.
yeah, it's tough.
I've got a very well known man mad at me because I was able to reproduce a barrage that is a portal, and I knew kind of why because I sent his video in to one of our detectives that's a forensic psychologist, And
Oh,
when
look, the
he
portal's
first
open.
ran that, oh yeah, the first word out of his mouth was light refraction mirage. And he, he's like, you know how cameras work, right? And I was like, he said, when you're in the woods, he said cameras are made mostly to be used indoors, and they're made to have a focal point to focus on the object that you want to capture. When you're outside, you have multiple dimensions, multiple layers, multiple colors, multiple moving objects, and the camera is trying to figure out what is he trying to take a picture of? What do I focus on? And it's all the time restructuring what you're looking at. And the tunnel, that goes down. He said it's just like looking at a TV. You look at a TV, you see a woman walking down the highway. Well, we know she's not walking down the highway because the TV screen's flat. It's the projection of the material. And he said a camera lens does the same thing. And I accidentally duplicated that in one of my investigations. And he was pissed.
Well, I don't know. The whole portal thing, it's it's one of those things that they're never going to be able to really be able to prove because you're never going to walk away with documentation. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just an
Right.
evidence-based guy. I want to see evidence. Um, that's why I chase cryptids instead of ghosts. Because at least cryptids leave evidence.
And I've even told people, and Kurt's heard me say it. I'm not going to say that portals don't exist. Maybe they do, but if they do, it's not flesh and blood creatures using them. It's going to be the spiritual side of the paranormal of the demons. Flesh and
Right.
blood is not going in and out of these portals. They're not, they're not walking in a portal in Oklahoma and coming out in Kansas. Uh, you know, but I base a lot of mine, and people know this on my channel. I base a lot of mine off of biblical knowledge. And whenever God said, flesh is flesh, spirit is spirit, and flesh cannot enter into the spirit world, well, that pretty much summed that up for me.
Well, I don't think there's any creature on the planet or in outer space that's going to have access to heaven unless God wills it. But it is possible that there could be portals to places other than heaven. But I don't know. That's the thing, and deep down, I believe that God's in control, and I believe that God protects me when I'm in the woods.
I know He does me. If He didn't, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, Leviticus says that we've got dominion over the earth and all the animals, and that's true. Now, is there danger? Yeah, there's danger, but to be quite honest with you, I'm a lot more concerned about tweakers and other humans and wild hogs than I am these Sasquatch creatures, even the dogmen. Um, there's a
Mine
price
are.
that they have to pay for attacking us. And I think it's a spiritual consequence that they have to pay. And I think they don't want to do that. So,
Mine
but
is
that's just me.
feral people and snakes. That's what I fear.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Because you never know what they're going to do. And yeah, I mean, snakes, I'm not even that.
Did you see my video? I had to have a guy arrested. I actually had to draw my weapon on a guy on a hunt. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, most dangerous
and
animal on this earth is human.
Yeah. Why do you think they don't want to have
and
anything to
he's
do
not
with it?
far. Yeah, and he's not far from where you was camping at. And they took him and released him back at the same spot. He said him and his family are living down there and have for years. But he tried to flag my sister's car down using his body, and he was cussing us, threatening us, and running toward the vehicle. And I had my sister in there and my daughter, and I ended up having to draw down on him. He he went to jail for a little while, and then they released him back. They called me and said we took him and released him back. But I mean, this guy looked crazy. Had had long bushy hair, big old beard, hadn't been washed. He'd been wallering with the pigs, and I mean, he had cut off jeans, barefooted, crazy looking.
What do them people do in the wintertime, man? Jeez. Probably go underground, I guess. I don't know.
There ain't no telling. But there's so many old buildings out there, from the old oil wells and stuff that were abandoned. They're probably living in those.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, think about how many derelict barns, old houses there are out there, and I mean, there's a lot of old buildings out there that you could occupy in a pinch. You might even have to move around for a little bit, but
hey, look, Mom, it's Uncle Grandpa.
Yeah. Well, it's tough to get out and find a date,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Especially whenever most of them can outrun you down there.
Yeah. Times are tough. Hey, speaking of which, how about that girl that got pregnant by Bigfoot? You see that going around here lately?
Well, that remains to be seen.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd want to see it.
Is, I just hope she ain't from Oklahoma. That's all.
Oh God.
We got the
I had
Tiger King, and
I got something I wanted to run past you. I had something happen to me the other night. I've never had this happen. As many times as I've been out investigating, I've never had that happen. And I was trying to explain to people, I was talking to Kirk about it. They said, well, you spotlighted it right there. That's why they came after you. No. I'm using a 1,000,000-watt spotlight. They were 250, maybe 300 yards from me. And they've been yelling at me every night, okay? This is not far from my house. When I walk outside, it screams at me. It screamed at the kids. I went out that night, and I ran the spotlight. And I saw eye shine. The eye shine was probably, guessing, 10 inches above the grass. It's an uncut field. So I'm like, first thing that pops into my mind, coyotes. So I'm shining the light on it. It turns, and next thing you know, they're standing up. They're bipedal. You can tell they rise up. But I see two. And usually whenever you spotlight something, or I have in my experience, they run and hide. These immediately come right at me. And I mean, there was no going to go around me. They were coming directly at me, side by side.
No animal does
They got
that.
probably no. And they were 75 yards from me probably. And I didn't tell a lot of people this. A lot of people were worried, but I had an AK-47. And I flipped it around. And when I did, they split. And when they split, they fell straight on their face. Well, out in the field, there's tall grass, and you got these, they're bushes, small bushes. You could see them looking through the bushes at me and my sister. And they started whistling at us. They started doing the whistling. But I have never, ever had anything clear that much land and come right at a bright light, right into it.
Well, I watched that video. I couldn't see anything. I got to thinking that maybe a person could take some stills from that video and maybe mess with the light contrast. You might be able to get something if you did that. I don't have time to do that myself, but it's a possibility. In your video, it doesn't look like you've got a 1,000,000-watt spotlight. It looks pretty. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, there's no animal, that's not domestic. Even most domestic animals, if you spotlight them, they're not going to come to you. They're going to disappear. They're going to run off. And so it's hard to say whether that. What do you think that was? You think that was a dogman or a Sasquatch?
If I guessed, I would have to go with a dog man, just based on the build, how skinny it was. I think
Smell
a
anything?
Sasquatch would have presented. No,
Was the direction of the wind in your favor to smell them, or was it
yeah,
against you?
yeah, the direction the wind. No, it was right in my face. It was right out of the west,
Okay.
and there was no smell. They were not as heavy either when they were running. You could hear them running, but the calves out here that run, there's 3,500 cows out here. The calves that are running are heavier sounding than what these are. Now I spoke to the rancher 3 days later. I caught one of them out here and flagged him down. And the only thing he told me is they had a dead calf out there that was half eaten. So I don't know if they were maybe munching on this calf and I spotlighted them, pissed them off. I don't know.
That's interesting. So there were cattle in the. I'm not saying, but there were cattle in the area when this happened.
No, the cows weren't up there at this time. The cows were.
Okay.
There's on this particular land, it's 1 mile by 6 miles long.
Okay.
It's a huge ranch, and
Yeah.
all the cattle were down on the bottom side. There was no cows.
Okay. Well, I was just curious.
They were up right where the dead calf was at, which was
Oh.
about 300 yards from where I was at.
I was just kind of curious if the other cattle would have seen these creatures and how they would have reacted, or something like that. Because even a cow or a steer or
And that might have been.
they wouldn't have come to you. Not unless you rattle.
No, they'll spook. And another thing I also wondered is maybe that's why the cattle weren't up there that night. Maybe that's why they were down in the bottoms.
That's probably the reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was very quiet that night. There was no birds, no bugs, no cattle, no nothing. Just them.
For years, when I was coyote hunting, where I was deer hunting, I used to use the cattle, and you can use their eyes and you can use their ears by paying attention to where they're looking. And theoretically, if the cattle are staying out of a particular area, you could use them to know where to go. Just go look. I mean, for instance, if you drive the area and they're all down on the north end of the place, you might want to go check out the south end, or vice versa. You can theoretically, you could use the cattle like that. And we've been doing it for years. I used to hunt coyotes in amongst cattle, and I used to use their eyes to tell where they're coming from, and stuff like that. So use them.
And Brandy said she has some good photographs that she took for me. So maybe she seen something I didn't see, or was able to lighten them up. Maybe. I think, and I don't know for sure, but the camera I'm using, and maybe you'll know, it's a IR camera. And the reason that my light may not show as bright on it, I was wondering, is because it's not an IR light, and I'm using an IR camera. I don't know if that would affect the light or the range or not.
And I'm not an expert. I do all of my work on my iPhone, so when it comes to cameras and stuff like that and all that technology, I'm pretty ignorant. I'm just using what I got, and that's kind of how it is. And I just try to keep it simple. I just know how to use what I got. So I don't know much about those.
I noticed on eBay has a spotlight that is an IR spotlight. So I was wondering, would that maybe go better with the camera since it's an IR camera?
I don't know. How much is it?
It's like $40.
Well, maybe it's designed to light the area up for night vision equipment. I think I watched a YouTube video not too terribly long ago where a guy was using an auxiliary IR light to light up his night vision scope, and he claimed that it helped, but I don't know. I mean, $40 isn't that much, I guess, but I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, and my theory on it is when it comes to spending money, I let other people try it out first, spend their money.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I've wasted too much.
Yeah, me too. Everything's on a budget.
It made me uneasy. Just the way, yes. Well, just the way they turned and the way they came right at me. That was kind of uneasy. That was like, whoa. They're coming from a long ways away, and they was coming in a hurry, and they were moving. I would say they were probably down on all fours crossing the field, because when they got close to us, that's whenever even my sister noticed they went really tall.
If you had to guess, how tall do you
and
think
it didn't
they
take
were?
them long. I mean, I wouldn't say extremely tall. I would say 6-7 foot.
Yeah. Well, that's still
It wasn't nothing huge. Nothing.
Yeah, that's still a 300 or 400 or 500 pound animal.
Right.
So nothing to be trifled with, that's for sure. Especially with the way they're known to absorb bullets. So I don't know. I don't know about that. I've never shot.
I have my little. I've shot one, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a dogman, a werewolf, a Bigfoot. I shot something, and it bled like a stuck pig.
Yep. Well, I don't have much information on that.
Hell, think about that one that we had chase us in broad daylight.
Yeah, Kirk had
that thing.
Broad daylight.
Yeah, 11 o'clock in the morning, that thing actually got up to 45 mile an hour before we started pulling away from it.
Wow. They say they're fast. Real
fast. Very fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually took a report from the Fisher area about a year or so ago. A guy swore up and down the thing was running alongside his truck at 70 miles an hour. And
like I said, at 45 mile an hour, we started pulling away from it, but I didn't let off the throttle till we hit 70 and we're well out of its distance.
Yeah. They're fast. They're a lot faster than what most people give them credit for.
Right.
And there's more of them out there than what people give them credit for.
That's exactly right.
I think there's a huge population of them in Oklahoma and southern Kansas. I know there's some in northern Kansas too. That's out of my area. I don't have time for that. But it's our problem here is not that we don't have the animals, the cryptids here. It's that people in our area don't talk about them because they're very tight-lipped. That's that geographic phenomenon bias I'm always preaching about. And you get out here. Oklahoma is literally one of the most conservative states in the nation. We're kind of a no BS type people, and you just if it ain't about work and we don't want to hear about it type of deal. And I think that we've got a lot more people that are seeing these things that are just not saying anything than other parts of the country, just because we are so red like that. And I don't think it's a coincidence that up in Washington State there's all these Bigfoot reports, but it's liberal up there. And I
Yep.
think people are more open-minded, less judgmental, and they're more open to talking about this kind of stuff. And so a lot more stories, per a larger percentage of the people that do see them are talking about it. So it makes it look like there's a larger population up there than what there is here. Now, I'm not saying Oklahoma has more Bigfoot, for instance, than Washington State. What I'm saying is somebody from Washington State, your average Joe from Washington State, is a lot more likely to talk about his encounter than somebody from Northwest Oklahoma.
Oh, I
And
agree totally.
yeah, and I firmly believe a lot of people say that 1 out of every 10 Bigfoot reports actually gets reported. I would be willing to bet you that in northwestern Oklahoma, it's a lot more than that. I'd be willing to
One
bet you.
out of every 100.
Well, I don't know about that, but you got to realize the type of people that are up here. I mean, you've got old farmer rancher Brown over here that he sees something when he's out checking cattle. I mean, he's probably not even going to tell his wife. You
Right?
he's got too much work to do. He don't want to deal with it. He's
Sure.
if you talk about it, it becomes real. Who knows the psychology behind it? But at the end of the day, these people are a lot less likely to talk. So, and I think Oklahoma and maybe even Kansas is two of the states that are the worst. Oh, pound for pound, Oklahoma has more habitat
Whenever I was
available for
doing,
these. What? I was just saying that I think we've got more
whenever I was doing the
habitat.
investigation on the Girl Scouts, I was invited to speak to. Oh, definitely. The elders in the town, they they told me, they said they don't talk about them because they don't see them as a threat. They see them as protectors of the land, and they don't want people poking around, hunting them, looking for them. Uh, you know, uh, in their territory. They're still very territorial, and they still do their ceremonies, their sweats, their lodges, and they don't like white men. They told me that we don't like the white man. They knew that I was Cherokee, and they told me, they said, "You're not enough Cherokee. You're still white man, but you're good medicine." And they allowed me in to be able to talk to them about the murders. And but they were really quick to correct me when I would make a mistake. It's not a dog man, it's a Googway, or a Sasquatch. They were very keen on that, and they said that the white man tried to name something that the white man doesn't know what it is. He said, "It's been here as long as we've been here." um, you know, he even used he even compared a pug-nosed dog to a German Shepherd. He said some Bigfoots don't have a snout, some Bigfoots do, but they're all Bigfoot. Kind of like a dog. Not all dogs have a snout, but all dogs are dogs. And he was talking about you remember the three-toed one that was in Louisiana, down around that area. He said he believes that one is the same one that was born into Oklahoma. He said, "I believe that was the same one. It was born to Louisiana," and he also believes that was the same one they found in the cornfield during the Boggy Creek era in Folk, Arkansas. He said it was the same creature.
Well, the problem with that is we found those three-toed prints in Ohio and Pennsylvania also.
When I was a
So,
kid,
So what do you?
when I was a kid down at the farm in between Dover and Crescent, I found a three-toed print when I was about 11 or 12 years old. And, I had no idea that the whole three-toed print thing was so controversial. A lot of people want to say that they're fake, they're not real, they're this, they're that. I can tell you this, the one that I found when I was a kid, I had no idea what the hell I was looking at. And I spent a summer looking for what I thought was an ostrich and trying to trap it. And well, I didn't know what else could have 3 toes and be that
Right,
big.
right, sure.
So that was where and the ostrich thing was popular back then in the early '80s. And so I was going to make me some money by trapping this thing and selling the eggs. But that's my point is there would have been nobody down there hoaxing that when I was a
Right.
kid. Hell, we didn't know any of this stuff back then. I mean, we had no idea.
No, Bill, I don't have a TV on.
Right. He keeps saying he's hearing background noise.
Not
Are you
here.
hearing a background noise, Brian?
It's not coming from me. I'm in my
No, I mean,
office.
are you hearing it?
I can hear it. Yeah,
Is there one?
pretty loud.
I don't
There's
have,
no
I don't
noise.
have anything on here. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't have anything on either.
That's
I mean,
weird.
it's
I'm not getting.
100% quiet in here.
Yeah, I'm not
Weird.
getting any back feed.
Well, there's nobody around here.
Better not be, huh?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess the ice machine's running. So
No, he texted me on my phone too on Messenger. He says I hear people talking.
I do too. It sounds like there's a party going on at one of y'all's houses.
No,
I was gonna get the disco ball.
No, it's just me. Just little.
Maybe it's some kind of feedback or something.
I have no clue.
I mean, my computer's not on.
I was going to ask you another thing, Brian. Do you think that maybe the reason it's not talked about so much around here is because you got a lot of hunters and a lot of fishermen, and when they have these encounters, it usually happens at your hunting spot or your fishing spot, and you don't want everybody down around your hunting or your fishing spot.
Well, I think it's a combination of that, and if you start talking about it, you got to deal with it. I think a lot of people lie to themselves and tell them, "Oh, that must have just been a big dog or something,"
Right.
because they don't want to have to deal with the. They may not be comfortable going back to that spot ever again. I think another big factor for Oklahoma, southern Kansas, is the whole Bible Belt phenomenon. We are right in the middle of the Bible Belt. There's a lot of good Christian people here, and when you start talking about this around people, pastors, stuff like that, most people, they don't know what category to put this stuff in, and so they automatically, oh, it's demonic, and they jump on that demon thing. If they don't know what it is, it's a demon, and so therefore, you don't want to go and start telling people you saw a demon, because that means you're possessed, and next thing you know, they're going to put you. We got 2 places in this state for people like that. That's Fort Supply in the west and Veneta in the north. And you know what Veneta is now. I don't have to even explain that to you. And we've got something like that up in northwestern Oklahoma. We call it Fort Supply, and nobody wants to end up there. So, but yeah, on a serious note.
And you said.
Shoot.
You said Veneta, is that right? Veneta?
Yeah. That's where they had that.
You know how close you are.
Yeah, they used to have
That's
a big
right there by
nut house.
That's by Camp Scott. You're not far from Camp Scott right there either.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty close. You're in the same neighborhood.
There's a lot of multiple reasons why people don't talk about them here, And but I think it's all over. I think it's all over the areas. It's just that the local people ain't talking about it, you know, and even then the local people, they ain't going to talk about it with outsiders, you know. A lot of people are very hometown oriented. If they don't know you, they ain't going to tell you nothing.
Right.
And, yeah. Well, and that's part of the reason why I started doing YouTube videos in the first place, was to give people a way to get to know me, so maybe they would feel comfortable enough to reach out to me and tell me their story. That was the original
And you know,
intention
there's
behind
really
doing YouTube.
another
Huh?
thing about Oklahoma too. There's not a lot of boots on the ground investigators here. I mean, yeah, you got some people that go on and talk about it, but now this is just an opinion of mine. If you're not out investigating, then you're really not an investigator. You're not an investigator.
Right.
You're talking about things after the fact. You're talking about speculation. You know, I mean, I couldn't have been an investigator and done my job and said, well, that's the murder scene. Oh, John Joe over there done it. And then the judge says, well, was you at the murder scene? Did you investigate it? Was you physically there? No, but oh, Joe over there told me that's how it was, and he gave me some pictures. You know how fast he's going to throw that out of court?
Yeah.
Well, I would say,
and I know that's a bad thing. I'll get in trouble for that. You're right.
Yeah. Well, you know, I know that the Native Oklahoma Bigfoot Research Organization, they go out and they do boots on the ground type work. I do, you do. There's a couple of other groups. I don't know the activity level of some of these groups. I just don't know, and I'll be the first one to admit I don't follow a lot of these groups because I'm too busy. You know, I'm either working or I'm out there actually doing it. You know,
Yep.
I probably go out, you know, bare minimum once a month, sometimes twice or three times a month. And I get out into the woods and we go out and we spend the weekend and we do a lot of day trips too. And it's just, you just gotta, if you want to see something, you're going to have to spend some time in the woods. And it's been productive for me. It was slow getting started, but it's like the more time you spend out there, the more savvy you get in the woods, the more you become aware of your surroundings, the more you know when something's going on, when something's around. The more you see, you'll notice little things, and you eventually start figuring out where to look for tracks and stuff like that. But
guys, I'll be right back.
Like, okay,
but
like Tanisha, you know, she said, are the prints that were different on my car, were they different than the ones found on the ground? Yeah, they were way different. The symbols that was on my car were a lot smaller than a track. They were like a maybe like a bird size, maybe footprint, something like that. They weren't near as big as what we had found on the ground. And then there are people want to know, is there a good place in central Kansas to investigate? I don't know much about Kansas. I don't know.
Well, as a general rule, I'm very hesitant to give out locations because one of two things is going to happen. People go out there and they won't find anything, and then they'll be upset with me. But I go out all the time and don't find anything. And but my advice to people, if you're wanting to go out and find an environment where you might have an encounter, I usually tell people, I give people a standard issue response, and it's true. Go hit your wildlife management areas. That's where you'll find it. Most wildlife management areas, there's a river flowing into a lake, and you know there's a lot of territory there. Any area that floods, you know, humans don't want it, you know, because it floods every so many years. It's perfect for Sasquatch habitation and maybe even dogman, although we're a little bit less knowledgeable about the the habitat and the habits of the dogmen. But if you want to, just go. But go to where the wildlife management areas are. Now, for God's sakes, don't get caught trespassing. Obey the law, and don't go do your squatching during deer season when you're going to get shot. Stay out of there. Let the guys finish their hunts. Head in there. Usually January 15th is when deer season's pretty much over, at least here in Oklahoma. And you can go out there and have the whole place to yourself. And usually, from January 15th to pushing into March, you won't even find a game ranger because they're usually taking off that time too. So you can have the whole place to yourself.
You don't want to end up strapped to somebody's hood. They couldn't find a deer, so you'll suffice.
Yeah, and watch out for turkey season too.
Yes.
There's nothing more sketchy than two turkey hunters in full camo making turkey calls to each other back and forth.
And like you said, that's a good point. Make sure you're obeying the laws. Oklahoma, has laws now on the rifle and guns that you can carry in the woods at certain times. So make sure that you follow those laws, because those are federal laws, and some of those can cause you a lot of trouble.
Well, and if you was to, say, for instance, be out on a wildlife management area and you was to run into a game ranger or something, if you were crazy enough to tell them, well, I'm looking for Sasquatch, you never know what kind of response you're going to get out of that. They could know that there's Sasquatch out there, and they could, not be happy with you about it. They could actually think that you were screwing with them, and they might not appreciate it. You never know what kind of response you're going to get if you tell them the truth. But the truth is usually the best option. But we were out at Skytook one time, and the game ranger came up and was asking us. They did the standard issue. Well, you boys out here fishing today? And that's usually how they set you up so that they can hammer you for your license or whatever. And not that I'm fussing about them; they're just doing their job. But when one of my buddies told them, "Yeah, we're out here looking for Sasquatch," I mean, when he said that, I was just like, "Oh God, here we go." And the guy says, "Oh well, hell, they're on the other side of the lake this time of year." I about crap.
Oh, no.
And I mean, it was a very no. He was serious. It wasn't a joke. He wasn't laughing. It was yeah, he was very matter of fact. And it's actually kind of funny because I think he may have been telling the truth, because a couple of months prior to that, my brother and I had been kayaking back in there, and we'd had an encounter over there. We had something following us along the riverbank, and it growled at us one time, and man, that was something. And then it was basically pacing us out probably about 30, 40, 50 yards back inside the woods, along the river, the creek bank, and escorted us out. And then we come back a couple of months later, right after deer season. And I mean, we were there for 4 days and we never saw nothing, heard nothing. It was abandoned. And I think that there's a possibility that during hunting season, they move off to say a piece of property that just doesn't have any hunting pressure on it whatsoever. So that's
Are you still hearing the back? Are you still hearing the TV in the background?
Nope, it's quiet now.
Okay. Some people were saying they were still hearing it. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't bothering you. I'm not getting anything on my end.
I do hear something that sounds like maybe a box fan or something running in the background, but it's not that annoying, and it's definitely not. It's definitely not as bad as it was when your buddy was on here.
The party's over.
Yeah, he must have pulled the plug on the disco ball.
I'm getting ready to go That last pin drop I gave you down there by the river,
I'll have to think about that.
over off the highway by the bridge that we talked about.
Okay, yeah.
I bet if a
Yeah.
person went to the end of that road and put a tent up on a no moon night,
Mhm.
may not come out. I
Yeah,
learned
well,
that right there, and I was talking to my mom about the area. That is pretty close to where my uncle brought everything to my granny's from. That is like very close. That's where it all started.
huh.
See, my granny's, a lot of people don't know this, it wasn't always like that. They knew the people back in like the 50s when they bought the house from them. Everybody here knows everybody. It's a small town. And we
Right.
talked to them, and they were like, no, none of that stuff ever happened here. Well, my uncle would take his girlfriend and his friends and their girlfriends, and they would go spook hunting. Well, one night, something got a little more brave. They would hear it every time, and the girls would get scared. And they would sit by the guys, but one particular night it got worse. It jumped on my uncle's car and ran off the
Mhm.
hood of it on 2 feet, and everybody left that night. I mean, they ripped out of there, and everybody went home. Well, that night was the first incident they ever had. They had breathing, the scratching on the house. Granny said it kind of sounded like a coffee pot percolating the way it was breathing. The next morning, his car is covered in fish scales and stunk. And they said they couldn't hardly get the smell off of it. But after that happened, it never stopped. It was terrible down there. And it still has incidents. So wherever this thing's from, that area right there is very close to where it all started.
Right. Mm. Well, you'll have to resend me that pin so we make sure that we're talking about the same spot because you've sent me more than one pin, and I'm not exactly
Yeah.
sure which pin we're talking about, but I think I know. Um, but yeah,
Well,
that area
I got
down
scared
there's
in
got a
there.
lot of.
I got scared in the daylight.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hearing stuff, and I was like,
I'm
"Wow,
telling you.
this is pretty active."
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got to sleep somewhere. They got to have a. They got to have.
And it wasn't demons.
Yeah.
Guys, I apologize. I left because I started hearing the noise in the background here also. As soon as I took the headphones out, turned the phone off, it went away. I searched
Oh.
the house. There is nobody here. I don't have any clue where the hell it would be coming from.
Paranormal.
Demons.
Don't even go there.
Demons. Digital demons.
Yeah,
What do we used to call those gremlins?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was just talking about that, and we was talking about when you got off. When you got off, everybody said that the noise went away, Kurt. So it's visiting you tonight.
Like, I
Oh,
really need that.
it's good stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
So,
well,
so what's your
now that
take?
he's
What's your
back, we
take,
can't
Brian,
talk
on
about
the
him
Las
anymore.
Vegas? Yeah, what's your take on the Las Vegas landing? What's your opinion on that?
Who, me or him?
You.
You?
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we
well,
want your opinion.
I saw the video. To be honest, it looked a little AI-ish to me. Uh, I there was cops involved, and that's the only thing that I find compelling. I don't get into that stuff, man. I'm the type of guy that I've only got so much free time, and I devote myself to one genre, but occasionally I will listen to a little bit. And I did. I watched that video. The guy on the that was calling it in, he sounded very sincere. Um, you know, if you listen to the people in the background, they're not laughing, they're not snickering. You can tell by that the people in the background are, they almost sound concerned. And as far as like that video that goes, though, I don't know about the video, man. I don't know if that's something that somebody did some AI work on and tailor fitted it to that story. I just don't know. Hell, you can't believe anything anymore. You know, but hey, I have that here at the end of the day. I have no evidence whatsoever to prove that any of it is not 100% accurate. I don't have any evidence, so I'm just going to refrain from passing judgment on it because I don't have enough information. But this alien stuff scares
the only thing I noticed in it, well, the one thing in it that threw me off was the color of it, how it looked, the sonic boom and everything. This year, I actually experienced the last meteor that went over in Oklahoma, saw it and everything. And to me, it was an exact replica of that. I heard the sonic boom. I was dating a girl at the time. We both seen it. The big boom. It had the big green light in the air. It was classified as a meteor. The news has now came out and classified it as a meteor. Elon Musk got a little bit involved in it. He pulled up some satellite imagery and was showing that the circle in the backyard and everything had been there over a year. So a lot of people are screaming hoax. One guy thought that it may have been a military jet that had dropped a flare, because one of the doorbell recorders picked up what sounded like a aircraft and then the flare. So,
yeah, I'm real hesitant to say that somebody's hoaxing something when I haven't done due diligence, but that is my knee jerk reaction is that that the whole deal wasn't completely sincere. But the guy's
and that
voice, I mean,
family's missing.
what?
The family is
the
missing.
family's missing now. They don't know where the family's at.
Well, there have been YouTubers.
As long as you don't see a limb shredder backed up to a pond.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a little Okie from Northwest Oklahoma. I don't know. I'm not even real good at deciphering Bigfoot hoaxes. When it comes to this alien stuff, this AI is going to change everything, and not for the good. Right now, we can kind of tell the difference. We can kind of tell the difference. We can see when something is AI, but in another year or two, they're going to have all those bugs worked out, and you're not going to be able to tell the difference. I mean, there's no telling what they'll be able to do. They'll be able to make a video of you drinking beer with Hitler or something. It'll look 100% accurate, and you won't be able to tell the difference. And it has a lot of ramifications, and not just for the Bigfoot world, but for like the criminal world. I mean, how are you going to
for all the world
when you can't tell? Now, there's digital evidence and everything, but hell, I'm not smart enough, I'm not smart enough to tell about that stuff. But the thing is you got to realize is you don't have to have good evidence to get everybody, started and to get everybody riled up. All you got to do is have some kind of half-ass story and put a picture up on the internet, like these people up in Ohio that are claiming that they found a dead Bigfoot laying face down that had been shot in the back and everything. They offer absolutely no photos whatsoever, and issue a basic statement, and everybody's freaking out about that. That was a couple of days ago, and you know, I'm just getting to where if it's on the internet, I just don't even believe it anymore. But
Yeah, and actually, I had looked into that story. That story is not a new story. That's been around a couple years, and it turned out it was 100% bullshit.
yeah, I mean it was, even the picture was just a random picture of some kind of swamp, you know,
Yep.
and it's like, you know, it was terrible. It's kind of like there's every so often, like every 5 years, certain pictures reemerge on the internet with a different date and different. It's the same damn picture, you know, and I
You
don't
know,
know. I mean,
Brian, I actually caught on a trail cam about 9 years ago a picture of a squatch from about the stomach down, and that picture has now been posted probably by 1,000 different people, probably in 100 different groups. Funny thing is, I've still got the SD card with it on it.
yeah, I don't
But
know
yet,
which
all
one it
these
is.
people claim it was theirs.
Oh yeah. Well, that's how everything goes. Everybody's trying to make a buck, and you know. But man,
What about the
I don't know.
Project Bluebeam? What do you think about that?
What is it?
They're thinking that they're going to use pretty much holograms to fake the second coming of Jesus for the New World Order. Military jets are now being equipped with high resolution lasers, and they're talking about now that the the trails, you know, that the jets are leaving.
Mm.
They're thinking they may not actually be chemicals for weather control, that they may be using that for a backdrop to be able to display the images.
I can tell you how you can tell if the Jesus is real or fake. If the Jesus that you see in the sky is white, it's fake. Just saying, because you know that's what they'll do.
And if
They'll
people
put the
around you
standard
aren't
issue.
going up to meet him,
Yes, if nobody's floating up in the air,
yes.
you know, I don't know. I tried reading Revelations one time, and that was enough for me. I'll try to focus on the rest of it, but Revelations is kind of off limits for me anymore. I think I'm better off reading Leviticus than Revelations, and but I don't know about all that stuff, and you know, it's kind of like I don't know. You know, a person man has so much free time, X amount of free time, and I only have time. This cryptid stuff literally eats up almost all of my free time, and I see that stuff, and I kind of scroll past it. Not that I'm discounting it or anything. It's just I don't really have time to indulge in that stuff to the level that I am. I'm too busy looking when I'm scrolling through stuff. I'm busy looking for Oklahoma and Kansas reports, and I'm trying to find information. I'm listening to people's stories. You know, if there's something weird about it, I always try to repost it on the Facebook page so other people can take note of that anomaly in that story. And that's what I'm doing. I mean, if I'm not doing
And
that, yeah.
JD says if it's fake, why was they surveillancing the property and everything? They actually done a release today. The police said that they were surveillancing the property, but it wasn't because they were looking for aliens. It's because making a false report is a felony, and they were trying to see who was in and out of that house and the kind of activity that was going on. As far as the government officials that was in the car wearing the suit and everything, a guy did come forward and he said that he was a private investigator that was a detective for that police department, and it was him that was surveying the house. The feds have said that they are not even interested in the case, and the military is not interested in the case either, that they are 100% certain that it was a meteor.
Interesting. That's interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if charges aren't filed on him, honestly.
Well, it was kind of a if it was a genuine hoax, it was a pretty big one.
Well, that detective kept saying, he said that boy, every time they interviewed him, he kept saying, "Do you think it's going to go viral? Do you think it'll go viral? Is it going to go viral?" And he said that was just a big red flag to him.
Yep, follow the money.
Well, it was a pretty young man. I mean, you every third student that I have come through my class, you ask them, what do you want to do for a occupation? I want to be a YouTuber. I tell them, you go do something that pays money. So, but yeah, it's.
So you want to live on the streets,
just because, just because it's not something that somebody from our generation would say doesn't necessarily mean that some 23-year-old young man wouldn't be their primary concern. I mean, they live on their phone. They live for their phone. I mean, yeah. But
Here's
anyway,
a good question. I'm not even sure if I know why, but Lisa wants to know, why is Elon inserting himself into this?
That's a good question. Although I do believe Elon is a Christian, and Elon does not necessarily believe.
I don't know.
Well, they did ask him. They said, the big rocket you fired up, they said it was a disaster. And Elon said, no, it done exactly what we wanted it to. And they said, the rocket blew up. He said, yeah, but I got everybody to film it hitting the firmament.
Yep, okay. That says it all right there.
Well,
so he's up to some things. I'm not sure what he's up to, but he's up to some things.
Elon's going to have this a social aspect to him, so it's in his advantage to interject himself into a lot of these things. I'm not saying that's the truth, but if he wants to have the influence, if he wants to maintain the level of influence that he currently has, like his ability to impact the stock market and to make things happen based on the words that come out of his mouth. If he's going to continue to have that kind of impact that he has currently, he's going to have to maintain, a social presence to the American people. And maybe that's his cheap and easy way of doing those things. Because for some strange reason, people do see him as an icon, and he's everybody knows who he is. He's like the financial Michael Jordan, and he's doing a lot of stuff. So maybe his little space program and the whole rocket, maybe it was just to have all the news cameras pointed at him. I mean, look at Dennis Rodman. I mean, look at him. I mean, if he wouldn't have dyed his hair green and wouldn't have been all tattooed and wouldn't have wore the wedding dress and married Madonna, you wouldn't have a clue who Dennis Rodman was today. But who Dennis Rodman is. It's a marketing thing, and maybe I need to dye my beard green. You think that would get me some sponsors? That would be great.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Do it real dark. Do it real dark. Get you some tattoos where you look like a Sasquatch.
Yeah. Get me a little black cowboy hat.
Yep.
But the bad thing is, if you're in the woods and somebody gets after you, you can't take tattoos off. So that might be bad.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. You guys let me know when you figure all that out.
He's running right at you, Leroy.
Yeah, I ain't running anywhere. That's why I carry a big gun. I don't plan on running.
Good choice.
Teddy Roosevelt
What was
theory.
it they say? If you run, you'll only die tired.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah. One of two. Either he's going to be eating me or I'm going to be eating
Well,
him.
Brian, we've kept you on here an hour and a half, and I think we're going to wrap it up on this Friday. Hey, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, how to get a hold of you, and everything. And hopefully, we haven't drove people too crazy.
Yeah. Well, the best place to get a hold of us is on the Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations Facebook page. You can hit me up on Messenger. You can also email us at reddirtcryptids, plural, cryptids, plural, at gmail.com. Reach out to us. Tell us your story, your encounter. You can always remain anonymous. We'll document it and we'll get it out there for the public because there's power in numbers when we start posting this stuff and people just let us know. We just want to know what happened, when it happened, roughly where. I don't even have to have exact locations. If you have private property concerns, stuff like that, we can we can take care of that. I can just tell people it was within this 15-mile radius. I firmly believe in keeping my word about being anonymous, whether it's your name or whether it's where your location is. And but yeah, you can also find us on YouTube. We've got Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations channel. You can always watch and see what we're up to. And I'm also on TikTok. That's my I'm trying to reach the youth of America, try to get them involved. So I've been putting out some pretty hip TikTok videos for my young folks. They like that stuff. So, but anyway, that's where you can find me. Reach out to me. Tell me your story. If you know of it doesn't even have to be a firsthand story. If you know of a friend of yours that had an encounter, you can reach out to me and tell me their story. That's kind of how it works. That's how we're going to get hopefully get all the pieces of the puzzle there and put them together, and maybe we'll get a clearer picture of what's really going on in our state. So that's how you get a hold of me.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody, showing up tonight. Don't forget, we're going to do a live also tomorrow at 8:00, and that should be an interesting live. It's going to be prime time, and so hopefully we'll get a good turnout tomorrow night. Brian, I enjoyed having you. I'd like to have you back again. Like you said, I think Oklahoma has a lot more to offer than what people are hearing, and hopefully we can find some things to kind of open that up and show people, what's really here also, and that I think we're a harder state than what we're labeled for sure.
I think so too.
Without a doubt.
We're not ground zero, but we're damn close.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you,
All right,
Brandy.
guys, I want to thank each and every one of you. As we always say, be careful and don't be something's dinner. And we'll see you on the next one. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.